Okay, CAD tutorial 4, we're going to work on tubes. So it's in two parts. The first part we have to do a skeleton model or a sketch model of where the tubes are going to be. So, and then we'll add in the individual tubes as separate parts. Okay, so now we have a part, tube skeleton. I'm going to start by making a sketch on the XY plane here. We're going to give ourselves a little rectangular base. By 12. Finish that sketch. Then we're going to put in some datum planes that we're going to use to create the three-dimensional aspects of this. So we'll start with a datum plane at an angle. There's a lot of options for datum planes, and sometimes you kind of have to play around to figure out a way to get your plane where you want it. But so we're going to create a plane at an angle from the YZ plane to the y-axis. We're going to make it an angle of 45 degrees. Apply. Okay. Apply makes that plane, but it doesn't make the menu go away. Then we're going to make another plane referencing the one we just made at the z-axis at 90 degrees. Okay. And then we're going to take that plane and we're going to go through, no. Curves, sorry, yeah, okay, curves and points. So we're going to go among subtype, we're going to go point and plane face. We're going to specify a point that we want the plane to go through, which is going to be the end line. So what we're trying to do is draw a plane here. And then select the object here. So now it'll take another plane and put it through that point. Okay. So now, if you see between this plane and this plane, we have sort of an X going across the diagonals of this square sketch. Okay, so then we're going to sketch on that plane we just drew. We're going to make, keep it circular, I guess. We're going to go to the end point there, and the end point there. This will be better as an arc, sorry. Go to the end point. Okay. Pick the start point of that curve, and pick the start point of line 4. It doesn't matter exactly what we pick. And then we'll make a radius 10 inches. Okay, we'll finish that sketch. Then we'll make another sketch on the intersecting datum plane, this one. Same sort of deal. Arc, go to the end point, and then to what I guess is going to be the origin. Okay, radius 10. Click, okay. now, okay, now we should have this sort of fun little shape. Okay, two intersecting arcs in 3D. So this is kind of how you're going to do 3D sketches. You're not going to just draw randomly. You have to make a plane and then sketch on that plane. So we'll save that. Then we're going to make a new assembly. I'm going to go 5 assembly. I don't know what that is. Tube tutorial. When in doubt, be descriptive. V2. Okay, I want to make sure that's an assembly. Okay. Then we're going to import the tube skeleton along the absolute origin as done here. Okay. It's upside down, sort of, from what I would prefer, but it's not the end of the world. Now we're going to start doing tubes. So we're going to go to Assembly. We're going to go Create New. Model. I'm going to go E1.5 part. Base leg 1, I guess. It's a little bit hard to be descriptive when you have lots of like repeated parts, but just for right now, we'll just go by 2, 1. Go by numbering system. Okay. Okay, don't select an object. So now we have base tube 1. So here we're going to open up, we're going to double click that part so that now we're working within that part. Now is when we start to do geometry linking within an assembly to reference the part to the assembly. So under assemblies, go to Wave Geometry Linker. So what we need to do to be able to do this is select this composite curve. So there's a bunch of options. We're going to go for a curve here. We're going to say select curve. Okay. That's fine. So then within this part, we now have a reference off of the sketch in the form of this curve. Then what we can do is go Home. You'll see this menu across here. You can go More. I'm going to do a variational sweep. So we're going to sweep along this curve. We're going to select the curve. Then it's going to try and position a plane along that curve. So right now say, okay, we want to draw that plane at the 0 length of the curve, so at the start of the curve, normal to path. You select, say OK, then you're going to sketch along that curve. So now we're going to make a rectangle. We're going to make rectangular tubes on the bottom here. So I selected where this 3-point method where you select a center and then give it a length and width. And then we'll do it again to give to make the tube like hollow, I guess. So we're going to dimension that distance between the two walls. We're going to go 0.049 and then draw the same dimension here, 0.049. 0.049 is a common tube size that we'll use. We'll make this 0.5. 0.5. Often tubes are on the car are point or 1 inch length and like 1 inch by 0.049 wall thickness or 0.065 wall thickness. Anyway, you'll see this as we do it. Okay, home finish sketch. Okay, then, well, you have a tube, so it's going to make a tube along the length of that arc. So we'll say, okay, fine. Then, so we're going to keep doing this as we're going to go around. So, try to do it kind of quickly. We're going to new part. Okay. Oh, sorry. That was dumb. Yeah, sorry. We need to add the part within the tutorial, or within the assembly. Create new from here, sorry. 5 part base tube. Okay. That makes more sense. Okay. Select this tube. Home, assembly, wave geometry linker. Select the next curve. Okay. Oh. Sorry, you need to make sure you're within the full assembly when you create a new part. Okay, then we'll draw circular tubes for the top section here. Suggest more creative names if you're actually making parts on the car. If you label everything 1, 2, and 3, it gets really confusing. And I need to make sure I'm in that full assembly. So you can see how it let me make an assembly out of a part. NX will do that. There's no real difference between the assembly versus the part per se, but for the sake of clarity while you're working, it's nice to separate the two as you create either an assembly or a part. Okay, so we'll select this curve here, and then we're gonna go variation sweep on that curve. This is nice because you can make all sorts of funky shapes if you want. So here we'll do circular tubes. Okay. Again, 0.9 thickness, and then for the outer radius, yep. Finish. Okay, so then we'll end up with this big tube that arcs across. Okay. Leave that for right now. Create new part. I don't know why I went to 3. I should have gone to 2. Anyways, so then we're going to link the other curve. Okay, we'll go here, a variational sweep on that curve. That's fine. And we'll draw our sketch. Okay, but we're actually only going to go half of the arc length, so 50% of the arc length. If you think about this, the way you'd have to actually make it is one tube that goes to here is cut, welded to that one, and then another tube that comes from here is cut and welded at this intersection. So every tube that's a real tube separately in real life should be a separate tube in the CAD so that you can do the proper joint between them. So we'll do that. Call this one 2. Consistency. Okay. 2. geometry linker. We're still going to reference the same curve. We're going to do a variational sweep on that curve. We're going to say OK, but now we're going to draw it from the other end, essentially. And again 50%. So now we've drawn it to meet the other tube. Okay. So now we've got all the tubes as we'd like them. But you can kind of see there's like problem areas where they don't really match up and everything. So what we're going to do is save and then go through the process of trimming these parts nicely. So for tube 1, what we're going to actually do is extend the tube, go to the tube, edit the variational sweep. For the arc length, we're actually going to go by arc length. So for 0, we're going to minus 0.5, minus 0.25. So that's going to extend the tube slightly further so it matches properly. And okay, and then we'll do that. Actually, well, and then we'll just go ahead and extend it on the other length as well. That's right, 12.25. Okay, so now that tube matches, this tube extends all the way for both. And then we'll do the same thing with tube 3 here. Okay, so now we've got full connections everywhere. And then what we're going to do is go and trim off the excess. So we're going to go to base tube V2. Now in this tube we're going to go again to the geometry linker. We're going to select now a face. So we're going to select this face, okay. And we're going to do it again. Select the other end, the other like intersecting face. Okay. So that's linked face 3, that's linked face 4. Then we're going to go home, we're going to go trim body. We're going to select a body, we're going to select the trimming face. Now it's trying to leave only that, and if we reverse it, it'll essentially trim off the excess and leave that. We'll do it again on the other end. Select the body, select the face, reverse it. Okay, so now we have as what's left as our tube is just the nice trimmed section. So go ahead and do it for tube 4 as well. First, we'll link the geometry. So select a face, okay. Select a face, okay. And then we'll go trim body. Oops. If you accidentally click something you didn't mean to select, hit Shift and click it again, it'll deselect it. So then we'll select our face. Might be able to select, no, you can't select both. Okay, reverse, okay. Trim body, select face. Okay. so now that's trimmed. So now we're going to trim. So now we're going to trim the top tube here. So we're going to go assembly, we're going to wave geometry linker, select a face. Might let me do, no, I want a single face. Okay. And then try and trim that to see what happens. Select our body, select our face. Through face does not intersect completely. Okay, so what we need to do for this linked face, what we're actually going to do is a datum plane inferred on that face. So now we have a plane which will cut completely through. So we just made a little plane on top of that face. So now when we trim body, we'll select plane, reverse it. There we go. Now we'll have that trimmed nicely. Okay. Then we will go back to assemblies, geometry linker, select that face. Okay. Again, try and trim the body the other way. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so now you can see how the actual body that's left it notches perfectly over the adjoining tube. So we can do that for tube 3 as well. We're gonna go assemblies, geometry linker, select a face, then make a datum plane on that face, then trim body with that face. Okay. Then face, okay. And again, trim the body. Okay. So then the last thing to do is to trim this body here to B1. And I bet if we go, we're going to wave geometry linker, select a face there. Then if we make a plane on that face, okay, and then trim body and select that plane, it should trim at this end too, because the plane will extend to infinity. Even though it's only drawn for a small section, it still extends all the way across. Okay, so that's our full part with every tube as a separate component. What I'm going to do, show and hide. We're going to hide sheet bodies, we're going to hide sketches, we're going to hide curves, we're going to hide datums. Okay, so then now you just see that part. And you can open it, you can open this part, you make displayed part, and if you hide stuff again, you'll see that it has a nice notch in the end and it's cut properly over here. Okay, so that is kind of how to make tubes in NX. You want to make your sketch first, the skeleton sketch we made, and then draw all your tubes. Make sure you always draw your tubes as individual parts, and then you can trim using faces of the adjoining tubes. This will be really helpful to all you guys in the chassis subsystem working on your stands for the car. So there you go. Hope it's helpful. if you have any questions, let me know. Sometimes, doing the sweeps and planes and everything gets kind of tricky, so work on it, and if you have questions, come ask.